and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The roll?
Mayor O'Connor.
Here.
District 1 Morset.
Here.
District 2 Alms.
Here.
District 3 McCormick.
Here.
District 4 Weber.
Here.
District 6 Hall.
Here.
And District 5 Hoggett is excused.
Okay. Open it up for citizen comments. Anybody have anything to say here tonight? No? Okay, we'll move on. Everybody have a chance to take a look at minutes from the previous meeting? I'm sorry, what?
We do it as consent.
Consent.
Oh, that's right, this is a consent, yeah, okay. All right, so everybody have a chance to take a look at the consent agenda items.
Move for approval.
Second. Should be read,
Want it read?
or don't we need it to read? Okay.
Yep. To approve the regular session meeting minutes of June 20th, 2016. To approve claims for payment in the amount of $763,048.99. A detailed description is available in the clerk's office on request and is posted on the city's website. Contingent on payment of any outstanding debt owed to the city and successful completion of the background check, approve the issuance of 20 regular operators licenses for the period July 6, 2016 to June 30th, 2018 to Daniel Lawler, Tara McGinnis, Cassandra Steenberg, Adrian Chizek, Ethan Stanchik, Roxanne Plummer, Brittany Anderson, Bailey Knight, Dara Wilcox, Mikkel Hansen, Du Lu, Zhang Zhang, Joseph Server, Regina Sanders, Jamie Houston, Dylan Berkey, Fawn Beckman, Tanner Goulet, David Chowman McNutt, and Amanda Morris. And consider denial of an operator's license to Joshua Schmidt as recommended by Police Chief Marty Jensen due to Mr. Schmidt's history of alcohol convictions and failure to list all violations he had been convicted of on his application. To approve the special event permit for the Gopher to Badger race, Mark Bongers, on August 12th and 13th, 2016, and allowing the start time of the event to begin at 4:30 a.m. Contingent on payment by the organizer for any charges to hire police officers or any extra public works, park staff, EMS staff, and that signage being picked up at the completion of the event. To approve setting the public hearing date for August 1st, 2016 at 6:55 p.m. Request for rezoning 620 3rd Street from R2 One Family Residential District to B3 Central Business District and forward to the Plan Commission and city staff for review and recommendation. To approve the extension to the timely startup ordinance requirement until December 2016 for the Lolo American Kitchen Hudson LLC. To approve the easement agreement to construct a fence within a drainage and utility easement area for Daniel and Heather Spencer on 10 Nicholas Way.
So is the motion still good?
Yes.
Okay, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Oh, roll call, okay.
Morset?
Yes.
McCormick?
Yes, but I have a question. I'm sorry, I didn't get it in. How many extensions has Lolo had?
None. This is the
This
first.
the first one? Okay, yes.
Alms?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
And Hall.
Yes.
So 5-0. Motion's approved. Finance Committee report?
Most of you were at the Finance Committee meeting. I don't know if you have any more questions for Tom or not. The Finance Committee recommendation was to, on item number 6A, was to authorize a transfer of $35,500 from the street improvement project, and approve the bid from Farner Construction for crack filling and flex patching for $173,380.70.
Move for approval.
Okay,
Second.
got a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Next recommendation was to approve the slurry seal project approve the contract to Farner Asphalt Sealers for $25,755.
Move to approve.
Got a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
The recommendation was to award the contract for seal coating to Farner Asphalt Sealers in the amount of $59,306.72.
I'll move to approve.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second.
And the reason we split these up was because we didn't know who would be getting the contracts for sure, so we split them up into 7 different motions. So.
No. All right, we got a motion second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
And the final recommendation was on the 2016 street improvement project to award the contract to Monarch Paving in the amount of $338,235.15.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and
Now we
second.
all do.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, Tom is here, so if there's any questions from those of you that were in the audience before.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. All right, move to unfinished business. Discussion possible action on rejecting the WWTP painting bid and rebid the project. Kip?
Good evening. Back before we redid the roofs down at the wastewater treatment plant last fall, there was a whole bunch of damage that was done inside the buildings. Power washers, ceiling mounted heaters, garage door openers, painting, just numerous things that were ruined because of the leaking roof. We turned in a insurance claim to the tune of about $98,000. We have since received that. Part of the insurance claim was having the interior of the buildings down there painted. The leaking roof actually peeled and bubbled all the paint in 3 of the buildings down there inside. So what we had, in order to turn things into insurance, we got local contractors to give us an estimate on what it would be to repaint that. Once that was done, we submitted to insurance, they paid us. Our procurement policy states that anything over, I believe it's $30,000, we need to bid that. When we did go out for the bid to have that painting done, we had SEH engineer the project. Special paint needs to be used, obviously, because of the environment that's down there. The local bids of $45,000 to $48,000 weren't even close to what needed to happen down there. So we sent it out for bid. We got one bid on the issue sheet. We got one bid back for $127,000. Now, out of that, $48,000 was paid by insurance. I have contacted the insurance company. They're willing to open the claim back up because of our procurement policy. They're going to pay for the engineering of this project, the insurance will, and they're willing to open it back up for future bids and pay for those also. So with only having one bid, in the engineering, if you read the letter from SEH, they still think $127,000 is high. So we're recommending at this point to reject that bid for $127,000 from TMI and then authorize me to have it rebid again. And we'll go from there and see what they come in at. And then obviously it would come back to you for authorization. But like I said, insurance should pay for this. So there should be no out-of-pocket expenses.
Is there a motion?
So move for what he's asking and the typical, as far as what he's concerned, rejecting and
Reject and rebid.
reject the bid and then move into authorizing him to rebid within the parameters of policy.
Okay.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Further discussion?
I guess the only question I have is, how do we know, or what do we do to get a better bid?
Well, for one, we thought, when it first went out, we were using the $45,000 to $48,000. once it gets, from what I understand, once it gets over the 48,000, you have to use public wage, is it public wage rates or?
Prevailing wage.
Yeah, prevailing wage rates, which is going to make a difference. Like I said, the paint that has, that's a harsh environment down there for one. So just your typical, Walmart, Menards paint is not going to work. But like I said, when we just went out for numbers just to have something for the insurance company, we didn't know that. So that's what we got. But once I got into the procurement policy where we had to bid this project, then SEH got into it. And at that point, we knew the 48 was going to be low when we bid it the first time. But we were too far into it already to stop anything, so we had to get the bids. We only had one bid, and we believe that we only had one because the larger companies that do this kind of work for a living were thinking some of these smaller local contractors were going to come in and just way undermine them and do the project cheaper. We feel pretty strongly that we'll get, at least 2 or 3 or 4, hopefully, competitive bids from companies that specialize in painting this type of material or this type of facility. So,
Great.
Anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. We are pulling item B under 7 from the agenda. Go to C, discussion and possible action on giving the Utility Commission authority over the wastewater department as well as the water department.
all right, this was brought up, actually, when I got hired here, part of the hiring process was that we wanted to combine departments. Not only at staff level, we wanted staff to go between departments and things like that, but we also felt it was important from the top to have a combination instead of the wastewater side reporting to Public Works and the water side reporting to the Public Utility Commission. So what we're doing, or what we're looking for, is to change the ordinance to reflect that wastewater would fall under the authority of the Public Utility Commission, which water is now. There really wouldn't be any change, anything in terms of projects that have to, street projects, for example, where we're going to replace water main and things like that all go through here. It's more or less the daily operations that would go through the Public Utility Commission instead of through Public Works and instead of through Finance and then back through you guys. Perfect example is what I just talked about with the bidding of the wastewater treatment plant. Things like that would just go through. Catherine and I have been kind of just real briefly working on ordinance changes. Nothing, the only thing that's really going to change in the ordinance, there is an ordinance that deals with the Public Utility Commission and their authority and everything like that. Well, the only thing that we're doing is we're taking out water utility and adding water and wastewater utility. So obviously, what we're looking for tonight is authorizing me and Catherine to work on that, to make the changes, to bring the changes back to you guys for authorization. And this has gone through Public Works Committee. Their recommendation is on the bottom of my issue sheet. And it has gone through the Utility Commission and passed unanimously to make this change, so.
Can I make a comment? I just want to make it clear, because your issue sheet says
Yeah.
consolidate. The departments will not be, you're not asking for consolidation, because
Correct.
if they're consolidated, it would come under the Public Service Commission regulation authority, and
Correct.
you don't want that. So they're two separate departments. Funds are not commingled.
Right.
It's just that both will be under the authority of the Public Utility Commission, whereas right now wastewater is under the authority of the council as a department. And the biggest change in terms of council's authority is that in hiring and firing both the director and subordinates is exclusively the authority of the Utility Commission.
And we would be making the change. Currently, we have 5 members on the Public Utility Commission. John Hoggett is a liaison from the city council that sits on there. He gives his input, he just does not have voting power. We have talked about, and everybody has thought, we're gonna go from 5 to 7, and 1 member of the common council appointed by the mayor would have a voting, or be a voting member of that committee too. So then, so you have your member on there, so, or a voting member.
I have a comment, more of a concern, that to me, we were all elected to govern over this particular utility along with the rest of the departments, and I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that at this point, until I see further ordinances. I'm not comfortable with that. We're the governing body of the utility, and I understand the separation. To me, it kind of looks like a power grab. And
You still are the governing body you're still the governing body of the water utility also.
Mhm.
It's just anything in terms of your budget or my budget for both departments has to come through you. Everything does ultimately come
No,
through you.
I understand that, but
It's just the daily, it just makes it a lot more streamlined and a lot more simple. Water and sewer are married. You can't have one without the other. So when it comes to my job, for example, it's way easier for me to go to one utility that understands what's happening in that utility to get things done, instead of going, water goes to Public Utility Commission, sewer, the exact same project goes through Public Works, Finance, and City Council. So it just streamlines the entire process. Most of your larger communities, like Hudson, River Falls, for example, New Richmond, for example, have this. It takes stuff away from you guys, daily things, and puts it on the shoulders of the Public Utility Commission to make those decisions, so.
yeah.
Kip, one of the things I think we discussed at Public Works was whether or not this would lead to savings for the city and a more efficient operation. Can you address that?
It'll definitely, in terms of savings, I don't know, maybe in the future, right now, no. In the future, when we start purchasing equipment together, we can purchase things. When it comes to operation, it definitely will make a difference, just in terms of, I've already got my guys now floating from department to department. We hired a new staff member, I believe it was 6 months ago or something like that. He is floating now from water to wastewater. Some of my water staff is now floating from water to wastewater. So we're trying to come to one utility instead of having 2 separate departments out here, that answer to 2, well, they all answer to me, but ultimately the decision making is made up of 4 different boards.
So if something goes south with this consolidation, city council is not going to have power to intervene. It only has financial power.
No, you still, if you read the ordinance, the city council still has the ultimate authority over both of those departments. You have it right now over water. Any projects
Well, general supervision and control.
Yes.
You don't have, by statute, you don't have authority over hiring and firing any employees of the water utility. Only the utility commission has that authority. Right now, you have authority, at least with respect to the wastewater department's, director portion of the job. So it's muddy, but it is general supervision and control that the council has and the utility has day-to-day operations. They negotiate the leases for the water tower. I mean, really, in my experience, the utility commission does the primary operating of the water utility.
Kip, I went at the Public Works, I handed out or emailed you those changes for the ordinance that
Right.
I would like to see. You don't have a problem with those, do you?
No,
You all get a chance to look at those?
The ordinance?
Yeah.
Changes
Well,
at
the
times.
Yeah,
change,
what the ordinance says is, subject to the general control and supervision of the Common Council, Utility Commission shall take entire charge and management of the water utility of the city and shall supervise the operation of the water utility.
there's just some language I added that I gave to you that,
Yep.
I'll support this consolidation as long as that language is added to paragraphs E and H of 242-1.
Which, do you want me to read it? So
You can if you wish to.
general control shall include review and approval of the annual operating budget and all capital expenditures. And then H is the commission shall have general powers in the operation of the water and sanitary sewer utilities. Any construction, extension, and improvements to the sanitary sewer and water system shall be reviewed and approved by the Common Council.
You have a problem with that?
Well, I don't know. I know in terms of the statute, I know specifically it gives hiring and firing authority to the utility commission. I don't know what.
As
if-
of right now, the water
cons-
utility does those things.
Yeah. I think
In
the
that second
city
paragraph.
has reviewed their annual budget, or
Yes,
the council?
you do approve the budget for water and
But
sewer
in
as part of your
terms
budget.
of construction projects,
You have
no.
not.
major ones have come through here.
I
Vine
guess
Street,
I
Vine
don't.
Street came.
But that
through
was a
here.
city project.
Right,
But if there's a project like a new well or something like that, that has not come through the
correct,
council.
that's always gone, yes. Like painting of the we're repainting Hanley.
But even the construction of a new well or a
That goes-
water, that has not come back to the council in the past.
So that's too broad, you're saying?
Well,
Well, I just don't know. I'd have to look at the statute to see to what extent the council by ordinance and the city by ordinance can define general supervision and control.
All right.
So, I mean, I will definitely look at that
I guess,
if this goes forward.
no pun intended, I'd like to see it flushed out a little bit more. But my point is, it's been working fine as far as I'm concerned for how many years in the past, and now all of a sudden we get a new director, and we're trying to combine and split departments. I have an issue with that. But like I say, I'd like to see it flushed out.
We're actually not trying to combine or split it, we're trying to combine departments.
Well, we need to be careful.
It can't be
Because-
combined.
No, you
Authority.
can't
Combine
combine.
authority.
You're trying to bring wastewater under the authority of the utility commission.
And those are
But the
appointed.
departments can't be combined unless you want to have it under the PSC regulatory
Which we don't.
authority.
And just to clarify that that board is appointed.
Yes,
yeah,
By
for
the
5-year
mayor.
terms.
It is not
Correct.
done any other way, so it could potentially become a political board. And that's, I think, why it was installed.
So the decision is whether you want to have Catherine and Kip continue to work on it or not.
I think one of the things that convinced me that this is the right direction is that we hired Kip to manage both those utilities. So at one level, he reports to us for hiring and firing. Another level, he reports to the Public Utility Commission, which is really awkward. I have two bosses. Well, that's the way I would be looking at it. I have to satisfy this one for this job and this one, and yet you hired me to make these more efficient and be able to cross people across these organizations and bring some efficiency. So it's awkward at best, the way it is today. So I guess that was the one point I would, I had some concerns about bringing these two organizations together. Why wasn't it done in the past? But we had separate superintendents in the past, and now we don't. We have one superintendent for both of those utilities.
What's your pleasure?
I'm going to move that we authorize the utility director to work with the city attorney to revise the current ordinances regulating the authority of the Public Utility Commission to include wastewater utility and to move city council for approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
I don't think we're at that point yet. Make a motion to approve the ordinance.
He's
No.
recommending
We're not
that
doing that.
ordinance be developed.
To further discussion between Kip and Kathy.
Yeah, an ordinance would
Well,
still
to
have to come.
revise the current ordinances.
Right, and it'd come back to you at a the next meeting.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion's approved. New business, review XL Energy's, thanks Kip. Review XL Energy's traffic control plan and schedule for 7th Street to 12th Street.
This is kind of more for information's sake. They want to continue the work that they did in the construction area, continuing it up to 12th Street, Excel does, but given all the construction and all the detours, I thought, rather than just telling them yes, that you at least should be aware of it before they went ahead with it, so that, knowing that there'll be for 1 week that additional area of detour from 7th to 12th, or 9th to 12th, 7th to 12th. Tom is here.
Basically, that's it. They did anticipate starting July 7th. I did speak with the XL representative late this afternoon, and due to other projects that came up, it possibly could be closer to the 3rd or 4th week in July, but they'll keep us posted.
A lot of concerns have been brought up about they're closing off every intersection. So everybody's gotta go around and find the one that's open. So do we have to close every one of them all at once?
That's a good point. I mean, we have, projects coming from North Hudson, up Vine Street, and they extend, but, the main objective is to update the existing, the old metal pipe with
No,
new
I know.
plastic pipe. and-
It's a maze down there. It's gotten a little better with Second Street back open and First, but there's no place to get through. Everybody's going everywhere.
Yeah. And I think they like to piggyback onto big construction projects for obvious reasons, but anyway, this was just a request and more of an update
So you can't answer my question, I guess.
to see if they can get other projects done first.
No.
Or do it in stages so that it isn't the whole, I think what Randy's saying, so they're not blocking all the way from 7th to 12th at one time.
I think they're just trying to stay ahead of the Vine Street project. I think, that street is going to be up to 9th Street, so I think they want to stay ahead of that project and get this project done before they get, the construction gets up to 9th Street.
They need to have one or two openings, or at least one through that whole section, is my opinion. They've got to let through traffic. Because otherwise, they don't have any options except First or Second, or go all the way up to 12th Street. Is that 12th?
Well, really,
And they're saying that's closed too. So they can't. So you're gonna force them around the back of the high school out into that area.
Where their detour is from 7th to Wisconsin and then back around. It's what they're proposing on their map.
I'm looking at it. It's all 7th to what?
So you take 7th to go right on Wisconsin, correct, Tom? Go up the
yep,
hill.
from 7th up to
Where the little
Wisconsin
detour
on Vine
signs are,
Street.
Randy, going along the bottom there?
Yeah.
So basically, be 7th to Wisconsin and Wisconsin all the way back out to the high school then, where it takes the curve.
Well, either way.
Right.
My point is.
This is why I brought it to you guys,
I
rather
think
than
there
just
needs some
blanket approval.
crossing action here. At least one intersection.
Well, the tough part is there's, from 9th Street up to 12th, there's really no place to cross. There's, both those, the 10th and 11th Street are T intersections. Same way with 12th, so that, I think that's what they pretty much have to close that area off once they get going. And divert the traffic on the north side of Vine Street, to use Orange Street or whatever. and then anyone coming from the east can be diverted down Wisconsin. And we can, revisit this and see if they have a better plan also. Like I said, they're not gonna be starting apparently for, a couple of weeks anyway, so I can visit with them to see if we can get anything any better also.
Thanks. Actually, I agree somewhere we need to be able to cross Vine, either at 9th or 7th, that's just, I think we can cut that off. But this is actually a better detour than what we're using right now, by pushing everybody over to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And over to 7th, that's the way I've started going myself. I reverse that route and go that way. It works much better than trying to cross the construction and the holes in the pavement, and so that piece is better, but I would have a concern about Vine Street being closed basically from 12th to 3rd.
Yeah, and maybe once they get one way or the other, they can keep 9th Street open until they get up to that point, and then they can have 7th Street reopened.
Yeah. I could
Try to work with them on that point, like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it'd be great to communicate this route out, though. I actually think it is a better route.
Okay.
Anything else? Thanks, Tom.
Sure. I'm gonna stay up for last item too, if you'd like me to.
That'd be good. All right, so, I gotta get back to where we're at here. Discussion and possible action on the proposed welcome sign for White Camp Park Universal Playground donated by the Hudson Hospital Foundation.
The Hospital Foundation would like to propose, or get permission to put a sign to recognize people who contributed to the Universal Playground. They're looking for approval to do that, and they would list the people who contributed. I know we have, in the past, talked about any kind of signage in parks and things like that, so I just want to make sure that this is, according to city standards and ordinances, that this would be allowed.
Did we do this to Castle Park?
Castle Park had, I know for sure there's, on the fence, there's people who contributed, have their names on the fence, and also the pavers going into the playground, there's names on the pavers as well.
And what, is this just a regular sign or,
They're proposing just a sign, they said it would have, White Camp Universal Playground, maybe an image of, some children playing,
do we know the size, the specs? Does it hang on a pole? Is it a rock that's carved out, or what is it?
She just noted that it was gonna be a sign. She didn't, say if it was gonna be a rock or whatever, or how large. And we could certainly get more information as we move forward, if it's, this is even acceptable.
Because I believe the park board has really been trying since when I used to be on it, keep a consistent look with signage throughout the city, so
Yeah,
kind of want to keep it that way.
So you have no idea what was being suggested?
she just stated it would be some type of sign.
Well, I'm assuming this could come back at a different time, couldn't it?
Sure, we just want to, see if it's even allowable, and if the council would make a recommendation stating that it be consistent with other parks, or if it's not allowed, then if there's another option for them. I think they just want to check to see if they can move forward with this first.
I'm trying to filibuster for you.
Maybe you want to get some dimensions. I mean, just so you have a better idea of what they're talking about and materials, a sketch. I think.
Because I know we haven't put plaques up before.
Well, I don't know that there's any prohibition for the city to erect a sign on its own property.
There's
but-
rules and regs as far as monuments and those type of things that we put in place, but those are for, sculptures.
But I think you probably want to know what size and materials, and if it can be as uniform as possible with other park signs.
Sure.
That makes sense.
Have we had, so I'm not all that familiar with the different parks, how they've been constructed in the city. Have we had the public-private partnerships in the past like we have with this?
Not to this extent. I mean, we've had some donations made, just, benches and statues.
Just
on the
Castle
park,
Park is the only one where it's ever been, right?
That was more of a, a community park, constructed by volunteers and things like that. And, a lot of that was from donations from the community, along with some other corporations. But like I said, most of those were recognized by pavers and on the fence, things like that. And then on the different parts of the playground, there's little plaques that say this was donated by a company. So, yeah, we have had something similar to this at Grandview Park.
Well, I would move to delay or postpone to our next meeting to get dimensions and sizes and make sure it is not in any conflict with any ordinance or sign regulation we have.
Okay, I'll try to get some more information for the next meeting. Just so you know, I think the schedule, I don't have it right in front of me, but as I recall, next Tuesday, city staff will be removing the old playground up at White Camp Park. Hopefully it'll be 3 days or so. The contractor can move in toward the end of that week or the beginning of the next week. So they'll be starting on that. And then we hope to have a grand opening on August 11th. So we hope it takes about a month from tear down to completion.
We have made some accommodations for people that have reserved the park for during that time period because there won't be a playground. So we have been working with people as far as offering them, if they no longer want it, or if they are using it, we're working with people, so.
And I emailed that one lady today and said, just give me a call or email me, and certainly if, I got all kinds of ideas, there's shuffleboard, those bean bags, there's all kinds of games they can play up there, and, if they need some ideas, we can.
Tom, could the park board take a look at, because this kind of opens up the door a little bit, right, to potential signage happening down the road. Could we look at, from a board standpoint, looking at standards for signage within parks that we can then say, yeah, sure, you can have a sign as long as it meets these requirements versus kind of piecemealing these decisions out?
Sure.
I would feel more comfortable about that rather than sort of they come back with something and then 4 years down the road, somebody else comes and it's a whole new council or whatever, but.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
So then at that rate, we should have something, the park board look into having a standard sign and, okay.
Just an idea.
And this may not get done prior to the grand opening then.
Right.
When is the grand opening?
They say August 11th, and I think the next park meeting will be 1st of August, so I don't think they'd have enough time to make any decisions before then.
The one thing, and obviously I've got a conflict here where I was part of the Hudson Hospital Foundation when this whole project was being developed. But this is a type of partnership that I think we really want to foster throughout our community. This is a great example of public-private partnership. $100,000 coming from the hospital foundation, and they raised a lot of money, obviously, with a lot of the donors here. So I think it's a good idea to have certain standards for these things, but I think each one of our parks is unique, and I wouldn't have an issue with things that would be consistent with the park itself and have some uniqueness to it. But certainly there need to be standards, I think, in place too. But boy, I would really like to see this in place before the grand opening. I mean, if that's their timeline, if they're trying to get this for the grand opening, I'd like to see what we could do to try to accommodate that.
Tom, did they tell you how much lead time they need to get this done?
Not exactly. They just wanted to see if they could move forward with this, and, the timeline is, I already gave you that, so I would imagine there's some time to get everything printed or made or whatever. But I can speak with Carrie tomorrow and hopefully have some kind of design or size or by the next meeting and see if it's acceptable, and maybe we could use that as a standard, or at least a size, or maybe we want to be, every park would be a little unique or have a little bit of different variety, but maybe the size and construction could be similar.
Okay.
I do have a motion on the floor for you to recall. I don't know if there's a second.
No second, yep.
Pardon me?
I said there's no
You
second
want to
yet.
repeat the motion, Randy?
Just move to postpone till our next meeting to get dimensions and size
Okay.
and to look at our policy.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion second. Discussion?
Who would be responsible for looking at policies? Is that, because I heard the
Well-
park board mentioned, but that,
I would assume the director and
I'll look at
Catherine
the
would have to look at
ordinances.
it.
okay.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion's approved. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
And moving on then, comments from the mayor. I have nothing. What else do we have? Items for future agendas? Any comments from the council?
I just want to appreciate the extra money the council have approved for the fireworks. I thought they were a good fireworks show. So thanks to Boosters for doing that for us.
How much was spent?
12.
12? What was the increase?
2,000.
Okay. I thought they did a nice job too. All right, future agenda items? City attorney staff? No? Okay. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Let's move to second. We adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everybody. We stand adjourned.